What does one do with leftover chapati dough? Store it in the refrigerator? Well, I have a recipe for you today. We're going to learn how to make Sindhi style Mukandar Wadi. Mukandar Wadi is made with leftover wheat flour that's been made into atta and boiled in a curry that's really delicious with onions, green chilies, tomatoes and a whole bunch of masalas. The ingredients that we require are, to begin with, I have 1 cup of atta dough that has been made and kept. Now, if you don't have leftover, you can even use fresh ones. They taste just as good. I have about a cup of potatoes that have been boiled, peeled and cubed, 1 cup of onion finely minced, 1 cup of freshly grated tomatoes. In the masalas, we'll require coriander powder, 1 tablespoon, salt to taste, half a teaspoon of haldi or turmeric, 1 teaspoon of red chili powder, 1 teaspoon of ginger that has been chopped, 2 to 3 green chilies sliced, coriander leaves about 2 tablespoons and half a cup of curds. The star of this dish is the wadis that we're going to make with this atta dough. So what I've done is I've taken about half a cup of dough and then I've made it into a thick roti like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to steam it, and then after it is steamed, we're going to cut it into cubes, and this is what's going to be put in the sabzi. So just take a pan, put some water and put the lid on and let this cook for about 8 to 10 minutes until the dough is cooked. While the wadis are steaming, I'm going to go ahead and make the gravy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat my kadhai. Once it's nice and warm, I'm going to add about 2 to 3 teaspoons of oil. Next, I'm going to add the ginger, green chilies. Let this cook for just a minute and then toss in the onions. And now we're going to cook this for about 2 to 3 minutes until the onions have released a lot of its water. To help that, I'm going to add a little bit of salt. It helps draw the moisture out. And then this is going to cook for about 3 to 4 minutes on a medium-high flame, just until they're light golden brown. So while the onions are browning away, I'm going to go ahead and take my wadi out, and it's perfect. It is steamed to perfection. I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to let it cool, and then we're going to cut them into 1-inch cubes and then just shallow fry them in some oil. Our onions are turning brown. They're brown on the edges. This is just how we like it. Next, we're going to add the tomatoes. Now we're going to add our spices. To begin with, I'm going to add turmeric. Next, a tablespoon of coriander, a tad bit of salt, chili powder, few coriander leaves. Now I'm going to mix this in and let this cook until the tomatoes turn pulpy. That will be about 4 to 5 minutes. So while the onions and tomato are cooking away, I'm going to move it to the next stove and then bring my frying pan, put it on low and heat this. And while the pan is heating, I'm going to go ahead and, as you can see, this is firmed up. When it cools down, you need to just chop it into bite-sized pieces, about 1 inch. Now this have a wonderful chewy texture that's really quite interesting. Once the pan is heated up, add a little bit of oil. 2 to 3 teaspoons should be just about right. And then slowly add the wadi pieces. And we're going to fry this until they have brown on both sides. This should take about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. Let me just give this a stir and see how it's doing. Perfect. As you can see, the tomatoes have cooked. So now at this point, I'm going to add a little bit more coriander leaves. Reduce the flame. And now we're going to add some yogurt or curds. Mix it in really well. And next we're going to toss in the potatoes. Remember the boiled potatoes that we had? Now we're going to mix all this in, add a little bit of water, mix it in really well, and then we're going to cook this for about 3 to 4 minutes on low. And let's get back to our vadis. Just look how they have browned so beautifully. Flip them over and cook for another 2 to 3 minutes. Our vadis have fried. I'm going to turn that off and I'm going to just remove them into a plate. These are so yummy. They're often termed, and it's wrong, but they call it a poor man's meat, but it tastes so good. You're going to be quite impressed that leftover roti atta can taste so good. So just remove this and just let it cool for a minute. In the meanwhile, let me check how the potatoes and gravy are doing. Perfect. This is how we want. So let me just turn it off and move this back here. Mix everything. Add the vadis. Now what the vadis are going to do is it's going to absorb all the flavor from the gravy, and so we are going to give it about 2 to 3 minutes to cook. I think I need just a little bit more water. So I'm going to put the lid right back on and let it cook until the vadis have softened. Our gravy is ready. Just look at how delicious that is. And the fragrance is just amazing. The aromas have filled our studio. Now you can cook this in a pressure cooker if you like, or you could cook it stove top like I did. But if you pressure cook, I feel that it softens the vadis even more. So if you like softer vadis, you could always pressure cook this. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of coriander leaves for garnish. Some slit green chilies or chopped, however you like them. There you go, you have the perfect gravy recipe to eat with rotis, rice, naan, phulka, whatever you like. Even bread would work perfectly. Now the Sindhis are known to be very thrifty, and you can see in this recipe that they use leftover roti atta so well. I hope you'll give this dish a try because it's really quite delicious.